Please join me in a moment of silence, followed by the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Thy will, not mine, be done. Do we have a spiritual timekeeper? Maybe just give us a minute. Okay, thanks. So just let me know at 7, but we have about 10 minutes each. So, yeah, okay. Whew, okay. I'm sexually sober by the grace of God since August 16th, 2009, and for that I am never sufficiently grateful. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. I was praying, I was like, God, please just what do you want me to share? What do you want me to share for these women that are going to be listening to this recording, and what needs to be shared about women in SA? Like just what came to me is, well, why don't you just share your experience of being a female person in SA and some of the experiences I have in strength and hope. Okay, so just to identify as a sexaholic, I've been lusting since a very young age. I found masturbation at a very young age. Definitely worked as an escape. It was great. I went into a lot of fantasy, always had fantasies, and just continued to masturbate. As I got older, got into a lot of problems with the opposite gender. And I would just find myself in just very comparable situations. I just want to really fast forward for when my disease hit a very, very low bottom. I had a spiritual experience in college, and then I became extremely religious. And in that world, I is very encouraged to go out and to get married, and not even to date that much. So I knew that I wasn't ready, but the fact is my whole thing was and I actually asked God, please just find me a good-looking person. Because I guess if it was a good-looking man, then it would say something about who I was as a person and my own worth. And that wish came true, like beyond. I mean, he was just beautiful, beautiful looking. I just want to say that right now, his beautiful looks, he's buried, he's dead. This was a disastrous situation. And the problem is it starts with my disease. As a sexaholic, I lust. And my lust is my fantasy, and it crowds any reality that can possibly be real. Like it doesn't exist, because I'm actually in an alternate universe. It's like tuned in, and as the White Book explains, it's that noise in between my ears. And that was a disaster. He ended up being mentally unwell and drug addicted, and then of course that just masked my own disease, because it was like, oh, that's him, but whoa, what was my stuff? Anyway, so eventually we did get divorced, and he killed himself 1 year later, and we have these 2 gorgeous kids together. And what a blessing, we have these beautiful kids. Like, thank God. Thank God today. I've been at these conventions for years. I was crying, like, they need acetate, just for growing up with me. Their problems are not from him. He's been long gone. They didn't even know him. It's me. It's my disease. So thank God they're in Essetine today. Okay, so... And then, and it's not like that was enough. I would go to doctor's appointments and have these fantasies that they're going to see how well I am, and they're going to want me. And my former sponsor had to bring it into reality that, well, actually, they could lose their license if they go for you. And I was like, oh, thank you for laughing, because it's like, that's how insane okay, so I'm insane. I'm a sexaholic. We're good? Okay. So, okay. So thank God somebody, a lady in a food program was like, she got me. She's like, I was like, I need help, she's like, well, I think you're a love addict. And, I did that program for a little bit, wasn't changing. I'm not going to make it. So thank God somebody that had sobriety in SA said that, you should try SA. And I really identified with everything in there. Now, okay, so the fact is I'm a sexaholic, right? I love the program, the principle of anonymity. I'm not a female in SA. I'm not my profession in SA. I'm a sexaholic. I happen to be in a female body. I'm in meetings with people that are sexaholics that happen to be in male bodies. Now, because of my disease distorts reality completely. I think that I'm different, or I think that they're different, and that's, oh, of course my disease is objectified and use that. But really, when, as the point of the whole recovery is to actually see that we're actually all people, and the more that I'm able to view myself as a person through my own recovery, am I able to relate to, am I able to see men as people as well in recovery? My experience has been that I have to be in the rooms with the men in recovery, because if I'm not, I'm going to be outside of the rooms with the men not in recovery. And that to me is more scary than anything that could possibly be in the rooms in recovery where there's love. And so I could not even believe that I was accepted in these rooms as a female. I'm like, the first meeting I went to, I'm like, aren't I the problem? Like, that's what I felt like. I'm the problem. No, I am not the problem. Women are not the problem. Men are not the problem. Sexaholism and lust is the problem. I really needed a lot of encouragement from women in the fellowship, especially from sponsorship. Thank God there's the whistle list. I encourage everybody to get on that whistle list. Like, I didn't care. I just needed another female person because, and I am of the experience that that women can help me. Like, that's where I find it. I'm manipulative when it comes to men. That's scary. Actually, it's been suggested to me, and I think that this is it, is that I actually don't even go into so much conversation with men that are less than a year sober. It's just not safe. It's just not the, oh my gosh, okay. I did not know how to act in front of men. The way that I act naturally in front of men is to wanting to be lusted after and acting cute, and I don't even realize that I'm doing it. It's just such a natural way of me being. My eyes are closed, so just let me know when I'm going and my time is okay. So I was in a meeting once, and it was very early in my sobriety and recovery, and the one member came over to me after the meeting, and I was like, oh, they're going to be just impressed with me, right? That's how delusional I am. And he was sober for, I don't know, at the time, 17, 18 years. Now, I am not saying that sober members should do this to a woman in recovery. I'm not saying that this is okay what happened. He did make an amends to me afterwards. He just said to me, hey, maybe just don't be so cutesy. And I was just floored. I was like, oh my God, like my whole world, I felt like I was shattered. I went in, I was having suicidal thoughts again. I don't want this effing program. I don't want anything. I can't be here. I can't do that. I didn't even know. And thank God I reached out to women. One was in Hawaii, one was in Canada. Like, wherever we are, we have to be there for each other, because the women in recovery, that's where I found the strength to move on in SA. And so, one of them said, well, it's too bad that I wasn't in the rooms with you and I didn't see how you were acting, because I would have mentioned it. I think that's a really nice thing. If we're in the room with other women and we see that don't sign off on each other's crap. It's so dangerous for the fellowship. We're here for sobriety. We're here because we need a life. I didn't have a life. I was delusional. I don't want to stay delusional, and I don't know how to act any different. But if I have somebody who loves me and I know that they love me and they themselves have recovery and they are not wanting to lust, like, that's safety to me, and I trust them. And so that would be it would have been helpful for me. So please, if you see somebody that's not acting appropriately or whatever, and we have to love each other enough to tell each other the truth on how we can be and to act around people. So instead of doing the alternatives, of which was very terrible, where my mind went, I recognized and I sobered up in the rooms. Like, I sobered up, like I started to be able to be in the rooms, and I was like, oh, I feel like an alcoholic in a bar. It's not. The men are not bottles of beer, but that's it. So what did I have to do? So I had to look at the floor. Oh, look at their shoes. I don't know, the shoes are triggering me. Well, I'm so nuts. Like, okay, so that sometimes I have to close my eyes or close. Thank you. Okay, so that was something. Okay. Ooh, okay. Yeah, meetings are not a place to find my husband. It's not. No, this fellowship has to be so safe. And it's not, and it's incestual. And it will it's devastating to this fellowship when I hear women and they say that they have acted out with a member, and they're saying it's so destructive to the fellowship that actually there have been, and I'm like, oh my God, the men are gonna shut us out. Like they're not gonna let us in. The other fellowship that I had originally started in, the only way that, like, I know that the guys in my meeting, if they go to that love meeting or whatever, like that, they are able to, they closed it out, and I'm like, I suspect that's why. And so, and I would never ever want that to happen in SA, because I never want to be shut out of a meeting. Please, let's keep, like, I need the meetings so badly. Like, I need to be safe in the meetings. And actually an old timer told me, don't date a sexaholic, like inside or outside of the meetings. It's like, and somebody just said also in a meeting, he's like, oh, a sickie and a sickie does not make a welly. I was like, oh, okay, that's good. Yeah, that's right. Okay. My time is up. And with that, I'm going to pass, and thank you for listening.
Good morning. Bernadette, sexaholic. I have a sobriety date of June 2nd, 2003. We talked about how there are some complementary things about our stories. My mother's been dead almost 2.5 years, and only now can I talk about the pain and to not be fused with her. She didn't want to be a woman. She told us that. She didn't want children. She was murderously violent. And she acknowledged this, but the thing that's sad is we didn't know she was mentally ill. I mean, even though she was suicidal, like, where was my head? That I just thought she was someone I had to get away from, and I didn't until I was 30. She made me believe that I should not leave the house until I was married, and then made it impossible for me to date. And I obeyed her. People thought I was insane, but I was the only one that stuck around because I was fused with her. And you've heard this before, but just in context quickly, I'll say when she beat us, if we cried, she would beat us more. So, and I could not stop. I was too terrorized, and it was painful. My brothers managed not to cry, but so we got it worse. She also idolized men as superior beings. She treated my brothers much better. She didn't even hide it. And as a result, I felt that way too. So when I was promoted to a position where I was the only woman, I was fine with that. And I didn't mind doing whatever it took to get along with them. And every single meeting, with rare exception, that I go to is all men. Did not have a problem with it. Not realizing that there really is a problem with me, because I said to one of them, and they laughed, I got to be good friends with these guys. I was sober the day I came into fellowship 14 years ago because I felt like they were brothers. My brother molested me, so brotherhood was not really something I was used to that was healthy. They were great. And I said to one day, I love these meetings where I'm the only woman because I am the most feminine person in the room. And one of them said, you should see him when he cross-dresses. He'd give you a run for your money. Anyway, my role with this, as I reenacted the pain, I grew up and I said, I'm going to do it this my way. And this was crazy. I had middle school age 3 kids, and I'd go off in a dungeon in New York City and find men to beat me and not cry and be like this enigma. People would stand around and go, oh my God, she's taking so much pain. And I was proud of myself that finally I had, and I would define all what the implements, and it was crazy. I'd meet people in isolated places. And I want to tell you something. My husband knew every single thing that I did. He didn't like it, but he was convinced that I would kill myself if I didn't have this outlet. He knew what I went through as, growing up until I was 30. He actually even came so that I wouldn't get killed. A lot of people thought that, he's incredibly codependent, but he was like, I want to keep her alive. And finally, my therapist said, he did what he had to do. He used to say, you're insane. How could you do that? He stands by me. He still does. He's amazing. So this isn't about me looking for men's attention. It's about me still thinking, and this is changing now, that men are better. And so I should just be around them so that I can be around the superior, gender. And let me tell you, in this fellowship, I have a special role that I love very much, but I see that some of you are coming into these meetings. I've always run what are called the fetishes meeting, the shameful secrets meetings, and we've had upwards of 100, typically men. And when I tell the story, they say that it makes them feel like I'm this maternal image to them. Never felt maternal. I didn't know what that was. I was afraid to take care of my children. I love them dearly, but I was afraid, so lacking in confidence. What is a good mother? But these guys found me to be maternal, and they got up and they cried talking about these horrible things they felt like they did. You know, the whole fetishes, perverted thing. It's all lust, but they felt like, well, I did even, this weird thing like I did. And so this maternal role that I've played has still kept me among the men. And I thought that in every woman that is even the slightest bit aggressive, I'm like, I can't have a sponsor or haven't, because they make me feel like I'm dealing with my mother. As soon as they become the slightest bit critical, it's ridiculous. I'm still very sensitive to that. But I've told men, you're beautiful. You're not. When I say that I felt like a worm, they love hearing that they're not the worm. I'm talking about the guys in this particular situation. And I love that role. But in the past, the first women's meeting I went to at a convention, and I've been to about 12, I had a panic attack. I had to leave. Because the beauty in the room overwhelmed me. I find myself so, even now, so taken in by the beauty of a woman that I start to either shake or I feel like I'm too attracted, not in a sexual way, but just like, you know how a kid goes up and they're like, they don't have boundaries and they'll go up and just like touch your arm? I do that. I still do that because I'm like, this is a beautiful person, and it's because she's a woman. And I'm learning to feel that way about myself. Even 5 years ago, I couldn't refer to myself as a woman or a lady or a girl. I didn't have a girlhood. I was treated badly at school, my brother. But now I feel so differently. I'm thrilled. I'm disappointed in myself for not going to that meeting that you guys had 2 months ago. I felt like I had personal reasons, but, I want to go to the next one, and I want to be present with all of you. We started a list. I know there might be something official, but if you haven't signed this list from the last one, please do, and I'll put it together or someone will, but I will definitely initiate it if no one else does. And that's it for me. Thank you very much. I'm just going to take over. Can I just do this because they're going to sit here? I'll just take it. Go ahead. Here are the guidelines for sharing this meeting. If you would like to share, please come up at your turn and make a line by sitting in the assigned seats up front. This is so that we move quickly to share. When it is your turn to share, please speak clearly so that everyone can hear you. In participation, we avoid topics that can lead to dissension or distraction. We also avoid explicit sexual descriptions and sexually abusive language. The emphasis is on honesty, recovering, and healing, how to apply the 12 steps and the 12 traditions in our daily lives. No crosstalk, please. If someone feels another is getting inappropriately explicit or is focusing excessively on the problem rather than the solution, they may so signify by quietly raising their hand. Although this is an anonymous meeting, please remember that anonymity does not mean legal confidentiality. The state of New Jersey has specific regulations that mandate specific behaviors are to be reported. Please be mindful of what you share, not to break your own or another member's anonymity. So can you time us for 2 minutes each? Okay, so come on up. If you'd like to share, please.
You know what, maybe we should move down.
No, I'm gonna get up.
Oh,
Okay.
fine.
I'm Jennifer, and I'm a sexaholic.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, family of women. I remember going through the not wanting to be a girl my whole life. I have 3 boys, and after the 3rd one, I realized where the baby comes from all the way. And I was like, I think I'm a woman, and I was like, I can't call myself a woman, but they're really big babies too. So after 3 boys, I started saying I'm a girl more, and then a lady, and so I relate to that. I just wanted to be a man, and I'm small and short and petite, so it's really funny. I started to learn healthy fear. I would never wear my name tag at anything I've ever gone to my whole life. And if I did, I would name myself something different. I had a nickname Rainbow when I was little, but so sometimes I'd actually use my nickname, so at least it was something close to my name. And I always want to change my name, and I've looked into the money for it. And like, I'm wearing my name tag this whole entire time, and I know it sounds silly, but I actually am wearing my name tag the whole time, and it's a really big deal. It can make me cry. I don't know why, but I just really relate to that being a woman thing, and I am one, and I'm a mom. So I think it's really cool to realize some simple things for me. They're really huge. I just don't want to hurt myself anymore. And I'm almost to 24 hours, and I think I'll make it today. And I'm really excited about that. So thanks for listening. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Nancy. I'm a sexaholic from Columbus, Ohio. And I find myself beating myself up for always wanting to get up and share. But I love this program, and I'm so full of experience, strength, and hope, and I just want to explode. I just now had a situation. I went up to the information table to find out where the room was. And I said, I lost my schedule. And I reached and picked up the SA schedule. And the man behind the table said, "Oh, you've got the wrong schedule." And I'm thinking, you have got to be kidding me. I am at a convention. You're sitting at the information table, and you're making the assumption that I am an Essanon? But wait a minute. The big book says, when I am disturbed, my insides started to churn up. That's what I need to look at. I need to look at when I am disturbed. And standing there, I felt like I was terminally unique, which is my problem. And if I don't deal with my problem, I'm going to lust. And if I lust, I'm going to act out. I love what was shared. I am a sexaholic. I happen to be in the physical body of a woman. Pass.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Cindy, and I want to thank you both for the tremendous honesty and heartfelt expression that I heard today. I love that you speak with your eyes closed. I have a lot better time like that myself. And I'll say this in advance because there may be some gentle crosstalk here, because I think that if I understand right, this is going to be available to women in conventions, or maybe used for people who are considering to come to a women's convention. And as a woman, I have a need for you to be here. So please don't take it as a lecture at all, but I'll be very open about, my weakness is I need to learn what a woman is to be, what God intended me as a woman to be. I need to learn how to be a friend. I need to learn how to be a mom. I need to learn how to be a better worker. I need to learn how to let go of myself and let God do for me what I cannot do on a much more regular basis than I do today. Although I'm very, very grateful to be in, this fellowship and have those things improving. But it's only by the connection. It really is about connection. And again, honesty, vulnerability, things that aren't a lot of fun, but that they do reap tremendous, tremendous benefits. And I sense that, as the Women's Convention said, we're not alone. When we're not alone, we're together. And I need you here so I can grow. Selfish as it is, that's my plea. Thanks for letting me share.
Hi, I'm Maria and I'm a sexaholic. I came to the program first because my priest sent me, because I was in confession every week for the same sin with a different man. So he was sick and tired of me, and I'm a mother too. So I was like, he was like, if I was your son, I wouldn't like to have you as a mother. So there is a program for you. And I came to SA. I came, and I was shocked because all the sharing of the men describe me. And I'm very girly. But my whole life, they always said, okay, you are girly, but you are a man in a woman's body. Because you're so promiscuous, you misbehave, you're shameless, you're this, you're that. And actually, I was proud of all that. And today, I still have the problem that, I don't know if it's shame or pride, but I have to share. When I meet somebody, I tell my problems straight up. I tell my past, because everybody knows it. And sooner or later, somebody from my family or my friends are gonna come and say it, like they have done it to my child. So it's very painful, but for me not to feel that pain, I just say it. I say it straight up, this is me, and take it or leave it. But for me, as for now, it's easier not to have sex than stop manipulating, because at an early age, I realized I didn't want to be like women in my culture, that men can have 2 women and you're going to stay in the house. And I said, no. I'm going to have 2 men or 3 men, and I'm going to be like those men in my culture, and I'm going to meet the woman who gives them like the payback. And that's what I have been doing my whole life. So I don't see men as men. I see them as a bank because I get money from them, or as a sex machine that I use. And then I leave them. I make sure I humiliate them to trash. Thanks. And, well, I'm grateful for the program because finally I see men as men, thanks to the meetings. And it's painful, and I realize all the damage I have done, but I'm willing to make friends with women that I don't like because I don't see no power. But I'm getting out of my comfort zone, and I have to be friends with you guys because my sponsor says so, so I had to obey. Thanks.
Hi, everybody. I'm recovering and grateful sexaholic. Hi. I just wanted to take a minute or two just to express gratitude for any of the women that are willing to come forth and look at their sexaholism. I know when I came in, I lived in a different state, but when I came in, sometimes women would dribble into the meeting, but very, very quickly they would say, oh, not me. Not me, meaning they couldn't identify. They would say, no, I think I'm just codependent. And thankfully, myself and another woman made a full commitment to stay together regardless of how big the meeting got. And we went through the book together, and that was such a blessing. And so I know how hard it is, and I know for myself how hard it was. I wanted to blame the men in my life, and there was many, unfortunately, that abused me, especially sexually, and say that maybe I was promiscuous, maybe, but that it was all justified because of what was done to me, and that's not right. I'm just telling you where my head was going for so long. And I didn't get help. I was in recovery for another addiction, and I didn't get help because I decided to keep this all a secret. And about acting out in my marriage is what I'm referring to. And took it only to a priest, and he said that basically, in a caring way, but basically what he said is you should take this to your grave. You're not doing this anymore, which I hadn't. It had been a long time since I had been active, but I didn't change. So I was, I was certainly vulnerable to relapse, let's put it that way. And it was really sad because he came from the greatest place, I believe, with his suggestion, but what was sad about it is my first thought was such relief. Oh, great. I don't have to tell anybody. This is wonderful news, especially, I'm sorry. But I knew it was wrong. And thankfully, eventually I did tell my spouse. What the program has given back to me is the ability to not be so ashamed and throw away my body like I did in addiction. What was done to me, I started doing to myself. And that has stopped, and I'm very grateful. Thank you. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Good morning. I have to start by saying the last conference I was at was here in Newark. We did not even have we weren't even like granted a room to meet. We were meeting in each other's hotel rooms. So this is just mind-blowing to me. To piggyback on, not piggyback, but I related to a previous share that somebody shared about not liking women. This is hard for me. I did not have a good relationship with my mom growing up, and I actually was hurt by a female doctor when I was little, and I just don't like women. So it's a big deal for me to be at this women's meeting because I relate much better to men. I will tell you, when I first came into program in 2001, I was on death's door, and I knew. I mean, I'm lucky to be alive today because the behaviors that I partook in, and this was probably before internet, meeting people out of magazines, and then when the internet did come, I'm getting into cars with people. I mean, I'm lucky to be alive today, and I knew that if I did not go to the rooms, even though I walked in and I was like, in my 20s, and with all these men, I was like, I need to be here, and I'm going to die if I don't come in these rooms. And when they read, to the newcomer, I was like, I knew I was home, and I just was absolutely blown away. And I was very lucky that I never felt unsafe in a meeting. There was some straggling people that came in that was unsafe. The members were like my brothers, and they'd walk me to my car. They'd make sure nobody approached me in the parking lot. But I have to work on my relationship with women because it's very easy for me to relate to men, and it's not for women. So that tells me that's where I need to be. So I'm here, and I do love you. Don't take offense that I don't like women, but it's out of my comfort zone. It's out of my comfort zone. So I'm putting it out there. I don't think I've even ever said that before in a meeting. So and I'm very lucky to have a woman who reached out to me. I wasn't going to come to this convention, and thanks. And if it wasn't for her reaching out to me last week, I wouldn't be here today with you all. So thank you.
I'm Esty. I'm a sexaholic. Something somebody shared hit me like in the gut about women. I think a lot of my sexaholism is I hated my mother growing up. I really hated her. I saw her as it's okay. I'd rather not. I saw her. I saw her as just the cause of all the problems in my home. She was the addict in the home, and I saw her as just stupid, and I just hated her. I mean, let me be honest. And I think that's why I hate women. And I must say that my first sponsor, Sylvia, who got sober the year that I was born, she was my first mother. She was my mother that I never had. And that was the most healing thing for me coming into SA was she would say, I love you. My mother never says that easily. And she would just say, Esty, I love you. You're beautiful. And I'm telling you, I would just melt. And it was like, thank you, Sylvia. Not even because you're my sponsor, because you're being and acting like the mother that I never had. And you're telling me that I'm likable, I'm lovable. And I'm reading this book about trauma, and it says that men need to connect with their fathers in order to really get better, and women need to connect with their mothers. And I sleep with a picture of my mother by my bed now. And I look at her and I say, you're beautiful, and I love you. And I'm really working on that connection because I think that's the key to my healing, is loving my mother. And it's not an easy thing. I don't like her. But I like her a lot more today than I ever did. And there are even times that I look forward to talking to her, and I could receive love from her, because I decided that I should never take from her. That's what I made up as a little girl. So for me, taking from her and saying, thank you for whatever you're doing is, thank you.
Hi, I'm Denise. I'm a sexaholic. really grateful to be here and lovely to be in a room of women, I have to say. Yeah, I heard a lot, actually, I really identify with, obviously. This idea, what I'm struggling with recently is this idea, and it's about the mother as well, you know, the strong mother putting you down. And it's like I have to make a choice to either be strong and a man or weak and a woman. You know, I could really identify with that. And there are strong women, you know. And what does being a woman mean, you know? So I have to kind of find my own balance in that, you know, because there's certain things that I can do and am strong in doing, you know? And I do think the genders do have different ways of giving and loving and being and all of that. And to find, I would have had very much, I remember I was in early recovery and I would not go to a women's meeting. What do you go to a women's meeting for? There's no men there. You know, seriously, like, what's that about? You know, whereas now, you know, if I look in my address book of all my supports are women, my friends are women, and I have a lovely relationship with men because going to the mixed meetings, they're my brothers and I don't objectify them and I don't feel objectified. And so I've had huge healing around lust. I don't have that thing, you know, I have a joke that, oh, there's my future husband, you know, with my daily renewal partner or with my sponsor, you know, it's part of my disease. But actually, because I'm not married, you know, and the little thing goes in there. But they're my brothers and they're humans, you know, whereas before it was always, you know, are they going to give me sex or not? And if they're not, I don't care, like, seriously. Whereas now that's off the table for me completely in all my affairs. And with women, I've been blessed, been doubly, triply, quadruply addicted. So I've been in one fellowship which is full of women. And that's where it was difficult for me, I have to say. I'm afraid of women. My mother was aggressive. My aunt was very aggressive and violent towards me. You know, that's something that, you know, I live with. And today, you know, I can share and feel comfortable with you all. And thank you for being here. Thank you.
Hi, I'm a sexaholic. I related to a lot of the previous shares. I thought I would find my husband in the meeting. I was like, who's going to marry a sexaholic? Oh, another sexaholic. And there was one guy who I thought I found, actually. I would like fantasize about it and like have full conversations of our first date and what we're going to say. And like I was obsessing. And it's interesting because I remember in the beginning, I have about like 7.5 months of sobriety. And in the beginning, instead of like lying in bed, instead of going to fantasize about sex, I would fantasize about him. And I thought it was like, okay, at least I'm not going there. And then I realized like it's all lust. And I could lust after people and obsess about people. And like I'm slowly realizing it's all the same thing, which is like a new realization for me. And like the whole codependent aspect and all of that. Also, I related to the idea of when I'm with people who look good, I feel better about myself. And also I realized like I use people, like I'll want to hang out with certain friends because it looks good, and someone else like I don't want you to see me with like, and like I literally use people. It's crazy. I guess because I always felt like a nothing growing up, and like my family, like they look good, so I'm good because they're good, and like I actually recently I read. When I was in elementary school, I wrote an essay about myself. And the entire thing was about my family, my siblings, how many nieces and nephews I have. Like nothing was about me. It was all about everyone else. And like I struggle with just like being okay for myself. Also, I do have a lot of resentment toward like being the minority, being the only one in the meeting. With so many men, I get insulted by their comments sometimes. So I appreciate what someone said about like when I feel the discomfort, like I need to look like why do I have such a problem with it? Like, thanks for letting me share.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm a recovering sexaholic. So thank you for your lead and thank you for everybody that came up and shared. It's just to identify, that identification means so much to me. Like I'm not better and I'm not worse. I'm just one of. And that is so important to me to remember that. So when I started going to meetings, I would call my sponsor as I walked out. It's like, they're all men, they all say such crazy things and this and they did that and I didn't. And she would say, you know, listen to the message and not the messenger. And that what got stuck in my head. It's like, doesn't matter who says what are they saying? Is it, you know, so what could I identify with? And once I took that in mind, I was able to identify with the way they feel, with the way their brain works. This is how I'm an addict. This is me. And it's just, you know, what was said. It's like, I'm a sexaholic in a woman's body, and this is what it is. It's just being really grateful because I am an only woman in my meeting, and I'm grateful that I could carry the message to other women that reach out. This is, you know, my 12-step work, being there for others. And the shame is part of it. And for me, breaking through the shame is helping others, because if I'm here for me, then we could do this together. It's like this is a we program. I'm not here myself. So I am very grateful to be here. And with that, I'll pass. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm a sexaholic. Oh dear. This is the most difficult meeting I've ever been in. I think I've gotten to a point where I've talked about sex enough and talked about my acting out enough that it's not really that hard to talk about anymore. I'm going to talk about masturbation, I can talk pornography, whatever. But for me to be honest or even experience kind of my feelings around being a woman, that's terrifying. And I think goes way deeper than any of the acting out does. Just in the last meeting, it was mostly men sharing. And actually, I passed a note in my journal to another woman that said, I'm totally shutting down. I want to quit SA and go home. And I think a lot of what we've been talking about in this room is what's been coming up for me. And, you know, some others were sharing that, you know, I'm a sexaholic and I, you know, kind of happen to have this woman's body. And for me, that type of thinking is, I think, what's gotten me into some trouble. That I want to separate myself from my body. And I want to separate the core of me and my spiritual self from my physical body, and in ways that I think are unhealthy, because I don't like my body. It's not that I don't want to be a woman, it's that I don't know what that is, and people haven't modeled that for me well in my life. And men are strong, and men are powerful, and men can do things. And in my profession, men get promoted, and men get the jobs, and women are passive, and women serve the men. And I always found myself not just rejecting that. And so I have never thought of myself as, you know, as feminine or desirable to men. And I think that's what's fueled so much of my acting out is, not only did it numb out all the bad, but it gave me that affirmation that I wanted, from the men. So, thank you all for your shares. There's a lot for me to think about, in processing all this. So thank you. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm a sexaholic. I'm terrified to be up here. I don't know why. I guess it's my wanting to be accepted by other people and not feeling good enough. So this will be really short. I never wanted to be a man or thought I should be a man, but I am really realizing today that I always felt like I had to act like one. Like I had to be really tough and I had to be good enough. I always tell the stories about how tough I am, how I had 2 children and I didn't use any medication, and like that makes me a good person. And I always wanted to be the cool wife. Like I wanted to let my husband do whatever he wanted, like going out with the guys. I wanted to feel like a good person. And I guess part of it is because my mom was always a strong woman role and she did what the woman should. And I wanted to be different. I wanted to be a strong person and feel like I was more strong, I guess, by being more of that manly role. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, we have to end. So thank you for all your participation. In closing, anything you have heard at this meeting is strictly the opinion of the individual participant. The principles of SA are found in the 12 steps and 12 traditions. Remember that we never identify ourselves publicly with SA in the press, radio, TV, or films. Neither does anyone speak for SA. This is an anonymous program. Please keep the name, address, and phone number of anyone you meet or learn about in SA to yourself. Please, what we say here, when we leave here, let it stay here. Here, here. Okay, so let's close out with a prayer. If we could do the 7-step, I think that would be cool. My Creator, I am now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. I pray that you now remove from me every single defect of character which stands in the way of my usefulness to you and to my fellows. Grant me strength as I go out from here to do your bidding. Amen.